You didn't stumble here by coincidence. Something inside you already knew this moment would arrive. It feels less like you clicked play and more like play clicked you. Beneath the noise of scrolling and algorithms, there was a pulse, a signal that moved across the unseen layers of time. Your future self, the one already living the reality you ache for, reached backward with precision. It tugged your awareness into this very present, arranging the convergence. That's why it feels both ordinary and uncanny. Ordinary because you're used to watching videos. Uncanny because every cell in your body is whispering, "This was meant for me." Pause for a moment. Notice the slight hum beneath your skin, that subtle electricity. It isn't caffeine or coincidence, it's recognition, a kind of inner nod from your deepest essence that says, "Yes, finally. Now feel into this." Your life so far has often felt like waiting in the lobby of your own destiny. Doors everywhere, but none opening. People around you moving on while you remain in a holding pattern, pacing the antechamber. It's exhausting. You've carried faith like an archer holding a bowstring taut, the arrow ready yet unreleased. Your muscles of belief tremble, not because you're weak, but because you've been poised for far too long. And this video, it isn't content, it's the release signal, the exhale your soul has been aching for. Notice how your body reacts as these words land. A tightness in the chest loosens, a pressure behind the eyes shifts. That isn't suggestion, it's somatic truth. When resonance hits, the body responds before the mind can argue. Your future self orchestrated this meeting for one reason: to remind you that your sense of restlessness is not failure, it is the friction between two realities rubbing against each other. You've been standing with one foot in the canoe of your old self, built from survival and memory, and the other in the canoe of your emerging self, built from vision and trust. That split stance drains energy. No wonder you feel weary. But weariness is not defeat, it's proof of growth. Imagine this: you're a tuning fork. The future version of you vibrates on a frequency of wholeness, love, and sovereignty. Every day, without you realizing, your body catches fragments of that note. You feel flashes of clarity, sudden bursts of joy, inexplicable longing. Those are not fantasies. They're the resonance waves of your own becoming. The only reason they sometimes fade is because the static of the old frequency drowns them out. Static takes many forms: old beliefs that say change is impossible, doubts that whisper you're imagining things, exhaustion that masquerades as proof nothing is shifting. But here's the truth: static is loudest right before a clear signal comes through. Just as radio static peaks when you're on the edge of tuning correctly, the noise in your life amplifies when alignment is closest. So instead of fearing the noise, treat it as confirmation. That anxious restlessness, that pull between grief for what's fading and longing for what's coming, that's the sound of your dial sliding closer to clarity. Breathe into that thought. Inhale slowly, as if you're drawing in golden light. Hold it. Exhale, releasing the static. Notice how even the act of conscious breath feels like opening a doorway. This is not motivation for its own sake. This is activation. The presence you bring to this moment determines the reception of the signal. Right now, the only ingredient required is permission, your willingness to let resonance overrule resistance. The call has been made. You answered by arriving here. And that's enough. You're already in the corridor between what was and what island. The rest of this journey will teach you how to walk through without looking back. Hold this awareness gently. Your future self is not distant. It's not a dream waiting years ahead. It is broadcasting right now, steady and unwavering, like a lighthouse sending beams across fog. You've caught that light more than once. Tonight, you don't just glimpse it, you learn to stand inside it. And as we move forward, remember this: the shift is not about fighting harder, it is about finally receiving. You've been carrying signals in your body and mind that don't make sense to your rational brain. Strange waves of fatigue that don't match your schedule. A heaviness that comes not from lack of sleep, but from holding two worlds at once. That grief you feel for things not yet lost, that longing for places you've never been, those are not random moods. They are symptoms of transition. Notice how often you tell yourself, "I shouldn't be this tired." You think it's laziness or lack of motivation. Yet deep down you sense something larger. You've been sustaining an entire vision inside yourself while the external evidence has lagged behind. It's like carrying a child for years beyond the natural term. The weight becomes unbearable, not because life is absent, but because birth is overdue. Now, imagine this. Your restlessness is a kind of spiritual jet lag. Part of you already lives in a new time zone of possibility, while another part is still anchored in yesterday. The result is dissonance, fog. That feeling of walking into a room and forgetting why you're there. You are existing between calendars, the body clock of the past and the soul clock of the future. Here's the reframe. Instead of seeing exhaustion as weakness, see it as confirmation that your system is recalibrating. The weariness in your bones is not proof of failure. It is proof that you're running two operating systems simultaneously. The mind keeps pulling up files from the old software: worry, caution, survival routines. Meanwhile, the soul is downloading updates in the background: trust, expansion, resonance. That clash creates glitches, mental short circuits, days of confusion, hours of sharp clarity followed by sudden collapse. So instead of panicking when you drop into confusion, notice it as part of the pattern. You are not broken, you are buffering. Consider 3 quick micro reframes, each like a lens shift on the same scenery. First, when you feel grief for a life not yet gone, reframe it as mourning for the shell you're outgrowing. Seeds crack before they sprout. That pressure is natural. Second, when you feel longing for a life not yet arrived, reframe it as the magnetic pull of your timeline calling you forward. The ache is proof of proximity. Third, when you feel exhaustion from holding faith with no evidence, reframe it as confirmation that your vision is real enough to strain your nervous system. You wouldn't be tired from carrying something imaginary. Notice how these shifts change the meaning of your symptoms. What once looked like collapse begins to look like calibration. What once felt like punishment begins to feel like proof. Now pause. Place your hand over your chest. Feel the rhythm beneath your palm. That pulse has carried you through every season of confusion and clarity. It has never abandoned you. Let that sink in. Your symptoms are loud, but your core signal is louder still. This is not about ignoring discomfort. It is about interpreting it correctly. Just as a pilot reads turbulence not as disaster but as data, you can learn to see restlessness, grief, and fatigue as indicators. They are the dashboard lights of your shift. They don't mean turn back. They mean pay attention. Remember the archer metaphor. Your arm trembles. The bowstring quivers, not because you failed to release, but because you're holding an arrow of destiny at full draw. That vibration in your muscles is the energy of potential stored, waiting for the signal to fly. The trembling is not collapse, it is readiness. So next time you feel split between clarity and confusion, pause and ask yourself, what if this isn't imbalance? What if this is the sound of two frequencies colliding just before one overtakes the other? That question alone dissolves half the panic. And as you breathe into that realization, feel the compassion rising. Compassion for the self that struggles to hold the arrow. Compassion for the self that doubts whether it's even aiming correctly. Both are part of you. Both are doing their best. The truth is, you don't need to fight the symptoms. You only need to recognize them as the language of your becoming. Once you read them correctly, they stop being enemies and become companions on the road to resonance. Imagine you are sitting in front of an old-fashioned radio with a dial. Static pours out, buzzing, hissing, broken fragments of sound. You turn the dial slightly, and the noise becomes worse for a moment before a melody begins to peek through. That moment when both static and music compete in your ears is exactly what your life feels like right now. The source of the music has never stopped playing. Your future self has been broadcasting all along, transmitting the frequency of your already realized destiny. The only question has ever been, where is your dial pointed? Now feel into this. The dial is your attention. The strength of the antenna is your emotion. Wherever you place your attention, and however deeply your emotion saturates it, that becomes the station you receive. If your attention lingers on doubts and your emotions amplify them with fear, the static of the old station floods your awareness. If your attention rests on trust and your emotions amplify it with gratitude, the signal of the new station comes through, clear and resonant. So instead of fighting the static, practice moving the dial. Ask yourself throughout the day, where is my attention right now? What emotion is powering this station? If the answer is worry, you know you're tuned into the past. If the answer is peace, you're already leaning into the signal of your future. Let's make this practical. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Imagine your chest as a tuning dial. Breathe in slowly, and as you inhale, picture the dial sliding toward clarity. With your exhale, imagine the static softening, the old frequency fading out. Do this 3 times. Inhale, tune. Exhale, soften. Feel how quickly your body responds. This is not metaphor anymore. It's calibration in real time. Notice how your nervous system shifts when you hold the image of a clear signal. Shoulders drop, jaw relaxes, breath deepens. The body knows how to recognize resonance. It doesn't need proof on paper. It knows through sensation. Now imagine yourself as the antenna. Every emotion you cultivate strengthens or weakens your ability to pick up the signal. Fear is rust on the antenna. Gratitude polishes it. Anger tightens it into rigidity. Joy makes it flexible and responsive. You cannot stop all static in the world, but you can decide whether your antenna is clean enough to catch the music beneath it. Think of a time you noticed synchronicity, maybe a number repeated, or a phrase someone spoke at the exact right moment. That wasn't random. That was you, just for a second, perfectly aligned with your frequency. The universe responded instantly with a wink. The radio came in clear. The key is to stop treating those moments as rare accidents. They are proof of what happens when the dial and the antenna align. So instead of asking, why doesn't this happen more often, begin asking, how can I choose the dial more deliberately? Each time you shift attention toward gratitude, each time you breathe peace into your body, you are turning the knob closer to clarity. The more consistent your practice, the longer the music plays without interruption. This is not about effort. You don't need to build a new radio. You don't need to write the song. You only need to choose where you listen. That choice, made repeatedly, reshapes your reality. Hold this truth. Attention is your dial, emotion is your antenna, and resonance is the song. Whenever you feel lost, return to this trinity. Attention, emotion, resonance. That is your map. Breathe once more, deeply. Inhale the signal. Exhale the static. You are already tuning. Imagine your body not as flesh and bone alone, but as a living receiver, an antenna designed to tune frequencies. Every cell is a copper wire, every nerve a channel, every heartbeat a pulse carrying signals from realms beyond what your mind can calculate. When your system is tense, rigid, locked in survival, it is like an antenna bent out of shape, catching only distortion. But when your system relaxes, opens, and breathes deeply, suddenly the signal becomes clear. The body doesn't lie. It tells you instantly whether you are aligned or resisting. Now feel into this. Most of your exhaustion hasn't come from overwork, but from running 2 codes at once. Your nervous system has been loyal to the old frequency, interpreting struggle as safety. Meanwhile, your soul is broadcasting the new frequency, calling you into expansion. That clash shows up not just as thoughts, but as sensations, tight shoulders, a jaw that never unclenches, shallow breaths that keep the chest locked. These aren't random, they are the static of embodiment. So instead of judging your body for tension, meet it as an ally. Imagine this. You're adjusting a radio antenna on a rooftop. You don't curse it for being crooked. You gently move it, angle by angle, until the station clears. Your body deserves the same gentleness. Let's make it practical. Right now, inhale slowly through your nose, filling not just the chest but the belly. Picture golden light sliding down your spine as you inhale, illuminating every vertebra. Hold for a heartbeat, then exhale through your mouth as though releasing smoke, watching the static leave your field. Do this again. Inhale, light, exhale, release. Each round polishes your antenna. Each round tells your nervous system, you are safe now. Notice how even 2 or 3 conscious breaths shift your state. Shoulders lower, thoughts soften. The world feels less urgent. This is not imagination. This is biology aligning with frequency. Your parasympathetic system, the part of you designed for restoration and receptivity, activates with breath. When that system comes online, your antenna becomes flexible, ready to catch subtle, high-frequency broadcasts. Think of soil. A seed can be perfect, containing everything for a tree, but if the soil is dry, compacted, or filled with weeds, the seed cannot grow. Your visions, your future frequencies, are seeds. Your body is the soil. Chronic stress, unresolved tension, cellular memories of past trauma, these are weeds and stones. They do not mean you are broken, they simply mean the soil must be tended. So instead of pushing harder to manifest, give attention to softening. Stretch slowly in the morning, not to perform but to listen. Scan your body like a field. Where is the soil dry? Where is it fertile? Meet the resistant places with presence instead of judgment. Every time you breathe into a tight spot instead of fighting it, you are loosening the soil for new growth. Now imagine your body as a metal antenna. When rusted and rigid, it distorts the signal. But once polished and flexible, it hums with resonance. Polishing is not done once, it's daily. Each conscious breath is polish. Each choice of peace over tension is another stroke of the cloth. Over time, the metal gleams. The signal hums through your bones like a song. Remember this. Survival contracts, safety expands. When your body feels safe, it expands, breath deepens, and your field becomes receptive. When your body feels unsafe, it contracts, breath shortens, and your field becomes distorted. Therefore, the quickest way to shift frequency isn't arguing with thoughts. It's creating safety in the body. So I invite you now to a micro practice. Close your eyes if you can. Place one hand on your stomach, the other on your heart. Inhale deeply into the lower hand, letting your belly rise. Hold gently, then exhale slowly, feeling your chest soften beneath the upper hand. Repeat 3 times. This isn't just breath work, it's recalibration. With each round, you teach your body, this new frequency is safe. From here, every time you catch yourself spiraling in doubt, return to your antenna. Breathe, soften, polish. Remember, your body is not a barrier to your shift. It is the gateway. Imagine emotion not as a side effect of life, but as the very current that powers your transmission. Every feeling you generate is like electricity running through your antenna, strengthening or weakening the signal you receive. Gratitude, peace, joy. These aren't just moods. They are measurable electromagnetic fields, shaping what your body attracts and stabilizes. Fear, anger, despair, they are also fields, but ones that rust and rigidify your antenna, making static louder than signal. Now feel into this. You've been taught to treat emotions as fleeting, something you can't control. Yet every time you've chosen to remember a joyful memory, to savor a small moment, you've proven otherwise. You have the ability to evoke emotion on command. That ability is your superpower, because emotion tunes your entire frequency spectrum. Imagine a tuning fork. Strike one, and another nearby with the same pitch begins to vibrate. This is resonance. Your future self is already vibrating at a steady pitch. Wholeness, love, sovereignty. When you generate the emotional tone that matches it, you resonate, and the two vibrations amplify each other. That's when synchronicities flood in. That's when the impossible feels effortless. So instead of waiting for life to give you proof before you feel grateful, flip the order. Feel gratitude first, as if the future is already here. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is an invitation. By cultivating it, you adjust your antenna to the exact station your future self is broadcasting. Let's try it. Close your eyes if you can. Inhale slowly. As you do, call to mind one simple thing that brings warmth, the smile of someone you love, sunlight on your skin, the quiet relief after laughter. Hold that memory in your chest. Exhale slowly, allowing the warmth to spread beyond your body into the space around you. Do this 2 more times. With each cycle, you are generating frequency, not waiting for it. Notice how quickly your state shifts. No external circumstance changed, but the song inside your field did. That's the power of emotional calibration. Here's the science behind the poetry. Emotions generate measurable electromagnetic waves, detectable several feet from the body. Elevated emotions like gratitude and love create coherent waveforms, smooth, ordered, radiant. Lower emotions like fear create incoherent waveforms, jagged, erratic, fragmented. Coherent waves tune easily into other coherent waves. That's why gratitude and love magnetize synchronicities. They are coherent frequencies, resonating with the broadcast of your future self. Think of your emotional body like the strings of a violin. Leave them loose, and they buzz with noise. Tighten them properly, and they produce harmony. Every morning, you are either leaving your strings loose with worry, or tightening them to pitch with gratitude. Which sound will you play into the field today? Now imagine walking through your day with emotional awareness as your compass. Instead of asking, "Am I doing enough?" you ask, "What am I feeling right now?" If the answer is contraction, heaviness, doubt, anger, pause and breathe. Then ask, what's one thought, one memory, one act of appreciation that can shift me into expansion? This doesn't mean denying pain, it means deliberately choosing which note to amplify. Understand this. Emotion is the glue that anchors your future into your body. Intellectual belief alone cannot hold the signal, but emotion repeated, embodied, felt as if already real transforms possibility into resonance. You don't fake it until you make it, you feel it until you become it. So instead of waiting for your life to justify joy, choose to broadcast it now. Your body responds, your field aligns, the signal strengthens, and the static of the old station becomes irrelevant background noise. From here, every time you catch yourself slipping into worry, remember, you are not trapped by circumstance. You are tuning through emotion. Gratitude is not a luxury, it is the lever of frequency. Hold this truth like a torch. Your emotions are not random weather, they are instruments, and when you play them with intention, the universe responds in perfect harmony. Think back to the last time something happened that seemed almost too perfect. A number repeating on a clock at the exact moment you needed reassurance. A stranger's phrase echoing the very thought you held privately. A door opening just as you were about to give up knocking. You brushed it off as coincidence, yet deep down you knew this was not random. This was your field aligning with the broadcast of your future self. Synchronicities are not lucky accidents. They are evidence. They are the universe's way of saying, you've tuned correctly. Keep going. Each one is like hearing the song of your soul cut cleanly through the static for a moment. The mistake is treating these events as rare gifts. They are not exceptions. They are previews of your normal when you consistently hold the right frequency. Now notice how your logical mind has been trained to dismiss them. It calls them accidents, probabilities, selective attention. The rational voice wants to catalog them away, to keep you safe from disappointment. But what if the opposite is true? What if these small moments are the most reliable data you can collect? Imagine this. You are a scientist of consciousness. Every synchronicity is a data point. When one appears, instead of shrugging, pause, write it down, anchor it in your body. Replay it in your mind with gratitude. By doing so, you aren't indulging in fantasy, you are building a new evidence loop. Here's how it works. The mind trusts what it has proof for. Right now, your proof database is weighted toward fear, scarcity, and struggle, because that's what your past has offered. So when synchronicities occur, the mind quickly minimizes them, keeping the old database intact. But each time you record, celebrate, and anchor a synchronicity, you're updating the files. You're telling your mind, this is real, this is repeatable. Over time, the database shifts. Doubt loses authority, because the evidence pile for resonance grows too large to ignore. Let's make this practical. The next time you experience synchronicity, do 3 things. 1. Pause your body. Take 1 conscious breath, feeling the aura expand in your chest. 2. Name it aloud or in writing. I just received confirmation. Language anchors reality. 3. Offer gratitude. Thank you for this proof. Gratitude amplifies frequency. By doing these 3 steps, you multiply the energy of that moment. You transform a fleeting wink into a stabilized note that echoes in your field. The more you anchor, the stronger the feedback loop becomes. Think of it like tuning a guitar. Each synchronicity is a string vibrating in harmony. If you ignore it, the vibration fades quickly. If you pluck it again with awareness through pause, naming, and gratitude, the vibration grows louder and the entire instrument aligns. So instead of asking the universe, give me proof so I can believe, reverse it. Believe enough to notice the proof already here, collect it, multiply it, and soon the evidence loop becomes undeniable. Notice how this changes your posture toward life. Suddenly, everything becomes an experiment in resonance. A delay at a traffic light is no longer irritation, it's a setup for alignment. A repeated phrase is not background chatter, it's a confirmation code. The more you treat life this way, the more confirmations flood in, not because reality changed overnight, but because your attention tuned to the channel where proof is always playing. This is not delusion. This is precision. Just as a scientist repeats experiments until a pattern emerges, you are repeating resonance until synchronicity becomes your new baseline. Hold this truth close. Synchronicities are your progress reports. They are not rewards dangled before you. They are signals that the station is clear. Each one is a breadcrumb leading you deeper into trust. Follow them long enough, and you'll realize they're not breadcrumbs at all, they're the path itself. You've felt it before. Just when life seemed to be shifting, the past came rushing back louder than ever. Old doubts resurfaced, old arguments replayed, familiar triggers reignited, as if the universe had hit rewind. You thought you were moving forward, yet suddenly you were face to face with the very patterns you swore you had outgrown. That moment is not regression. It is what I call the quantum echo. Imagine changing the channel on a radio. Even after you switch stations, you sometimes hear the fading hum of the old broadcast bleeding through for a few moments. That's the echo. The old station is shutting down, but its last vibrations linger in the air. In your life, the echo shows up as people testing your boundaries, circumstances replaying old wounds, thoughts trying to seduce you back into fear. Now feel into this. The presence of the echo is not proof that you've failed. It is proof that you are so close to anchoring the new frequency that the past is making one final attempt to reclaim your energy. The louder the echo, the nearer the breakthrough. So instead of asking, why is this happening again? Ask, what part of me is being tested to prove that I've shifted? Each echo is an exam, not to punish you, but to confirm your mastery. Here's a stepwise response protocol. 1. Observe without fusing. When the old thought, the old trigger, or the old situation appears, don't merge with it. Say silently, "This is the echo. I see you." Naming it creates distance. 2. Breathe into the body. Remember, your antenna is somatic. Inhale into the tight spot. Exhale with softness. This signals safety to your nervous system and prevents the echo from hooking into panic. 3. Ask the future self question. Whisper inside, "How would the me who already lives in peace respond right now?" This simple pivot shifts your center from ego to essence. 4. Choose alignment deliberately. Walk away, breathe deeper, respond with calm instead of defending. Every choice is a golden brick in the new foundation. 5. Celebrate after. When you move through the echo without collapsing, acknowledge it. Smile, journal, whisper, gratitude. That celebration stamps the lesson into your energy field. Imagine it this way. Each echo is like the last exam before graduation. The questions are familiar because they're drawn from your past curriculum. But the fact that you're being tested means you're ready to leave the classroom. Now notice how the ego interprets echoes. It panics, insisting, "Nothing has changed. You're still stuck." This is proof you'll never escape. But the soul interprets differently. The soul whispers, "You're graduating. Show me what you've learned." Which interpretation you choose determines the frequency you reinforce. Think of the echo as the final turbulence before the plane levels at cruising altitude. If you didn't know better, you'd think the plane was falling apart. But the pilot, your future self, knows turbulence is simply air pockets adjusting to new speed and altitude. The discomfort is temporary. The destination is certain. So instead of fearing echoes, start expecting them. Anticipate them the way a runner expects lactic acid in their muscles as a sign of growth. Anticipate them as confirmation that the new frequency is stabilizing. When the old arises, smile inwardly. "Ah, there's the echo. I must be close." Hold this truth like a shield. The quantum echo is not the enemy. It is the final rehearsal before the curtain rises. Your job is not to fight it, but to recognize it, breathe through it, and anchor your new state so deeply that the echo has nowhere to land. And when you pass through, you'll feel it: a new silence, a clearer signal, a peace that no longer wavers. The old station fades for good. The new broadcast becomes the only sound in your field. Now that you've recognized the echo, the next challenge is this. Can you hold your frequency when the world around you still vibrates at the old station? This is where environment and social hygiene become essential. You are not a floating spirit, detached from surroundings. You are a tuning instrument immersed in a field of other instruments. What plays around you inevitably influences your resonance. Imagine walking into a room where multiple radios are blaring different stations, news of fear, gossip of scarcity, complaints of hopelessness. Even if your own station is set to peace, the noise can overwhelm. This is what happens when you neglect your energetic environment. It is not weakness to be affected by others. It is physics. Coherent waves amplify. Incoherent waves collide. So instead of blaming yourself for losing alignment, learn to curate your environment as deliberately as you curate your thoughts. Begin with information hygiene. Ask, what am I feeding my antenna each day? Fear-driven headlines, endless scrolling, conversations built on complaint, each one is static added to your field. Reducing exposure is not avoidance, it is calibration. Just as an athlete avoids junk food before competition, you avoid junk frequencies when you are stabilizing a new reality. Next, consider social hygiene. Who are the people that consistently reinforce static? Who drains you with subtle judgment, constant drama, or chronic negativity? This doesn't mean cutting everyone off in anger. It means setting boundaries with love. It means deciding how much of your attention each person receives, knowing attention is your dial. Protect it like treasure. Here are 6 boundary practices to start. 1. The silent no. Decline invitations that carry dread rather than joy. Your body feels the difference before your mind rationalizes. 2. The energy audit. After each interaction, ask, did this expand or contract me? Use the answer to guide future contact. 3. The micro exit. When conversations turn to gossip or fear, shift the subject gently or excuse yourself. Small pivots protect coherence. 4. The morning guard. Before exposing yourself to messages or media, spend the first few minutes tuning your antenna with breath or gratitude. This sets your station before the noise arrives. 5. The physical reset. When overwhelmed, step outside, place feet on the ground, and breathe. Nature recalibrates faster than thought. 6. The loving filter. Remember that others' static is not evil. It's simply the old station playing through them. Compassion helps you hold boundaries without bitterness. Notice how these practices are not about control, but about stewardship. You are the guardian of your field. You decide which signals strengthen your antenna and which ones corrode it. Imagine yourself as a musician preparing for a concert. Would you spend the day before surrounded by clashing sounds, eating food that dulls your senses, staying up all night? Or would you prepare the instrument carefully, tuning strings, resting body, curating the environment to support harmony? Your life is that concert. Your field is that instrument. Treat it with the same reverence. And here's the paradox. When you protect your frequency, you actually serve others more. A clear instrument uplifts every instrument nearby. You are not selfish for guarding your energy. You are generous. Every moment you maintain coherence, you become a silent invitation for others to rise. So instead of asking, how can I endure the static around me? Begin asking, how can I curate my field so coherence becomes my default? That question changes everything. Hold this truth. Your environment is not neutral. It is shaping you moment by moment. By practicing environmental and social hygiene, you are not isolating yourself. You are learning to become a master tuner, able to stand in noise without losing the song, able to broadcast peace so steadily that static fades into background irrelevance. By now, you know tuning is not a one-time act. It is a rhythm, a daily architecture. Just as an athlete trains muscles through repetition, you anchor your frequency by building habits that weave resonance into your nervous system. Without structure, the signal drifts. With structure, it stabilizes until it becomes second nature. Imagine your life as a house being rewired. The blueprint already exists, but the circuits must be installed room by room. Each ritual you repeat, breath, gratitude, conscious choice, is another circuit connected. The more circuits you wire, the brighter the light. This is embodiment. So instead of hoping alignment sticks, design a framework that makes coherence inevitable. Let's build one together, a 3-part architecture of morning, midday, and evening practices. Morning calibration, 3 rituals. The moment you wake, your field is malleable. Before noise enters, claim the dial. 1. Breath opening. Sit or lie quietly. Inhale deeply into the belly. Exhale longer than you inhale. Repeat 5 times. This signals safety and sets your antenna to receive. 2. Future feeling visualization. With eyes closed, imagine your future self already living in peace and wholeness. Don't picture details, feel them. Let gratitude rise as if it's happening now. 3. Declaration. Whisper a sentence aloud. I tune to my true frequency today. Speaking engages the body and locks intention into form. Midday reset. 2 practices. As life pulls you into static, use small interventions to restore coherence. 1. Micro breath. 3 conscious breaths before entering a meeting, opening an email, or responding to tension. Simple, silent, potent. 2. Gratitude anchor. Pause once during the day to notice one small beauty light through a window, laughter, even silence. Acknowledge it inwardly with thanks. This realigns your emotional antenna. Evening integration. 1 ritual. Before sleep, your nervous system absorbs the final signal of the day. 1. Body scan and release. Lie down. Starting at the crown, breathe into each part of your body. Exhale tension, whispering silently, safe. By the time you reach your feet, the field has softened, ready for dream state calibration. Notice how simple this architecture is. 3 morning, 2 midday, 1 evening, 6 total touch points, enough to shift your baseline without overwhelming you. The repetition matters more than perfection. Now imagine practicing this for 30 days. At first, you'll forget. Some morning static will lure you into old habits. Some evenings you'll collapse into bed without scanning. That's okay. Every return to practice is another wire connected. Over time, your nervous system begins to expect coherence. Your body relaxes faster, your emotions shift more easily. Synchronicities multiply. This architecture also rewrites your relationship with time. Instead of waiting for a breakthrough moment, you treat every breath as an act of embodiment. Instead of chasing change, you cultivate it like a gardener watering soil daily. The seed does not sprout overnight, but one morning you wake to find green where there was only earth. Think of it as weaving. Each ritual is a golden thread pulled through the fabric of your day. At first, the threads look scattered, but keep weaving, and a pattern emerges, the pattern of your future self stitched into the present. So instead of asking, "Will I hold the frequency?" begin asking, "Which thread will I weave today?" That question turns embodiment from pressure into practice, from burden into art. Hold this truth. Alignment is not an event, it is an architecture. Build it deliberately, inhabit it daily, and soon your frequency will be less something you chase and more something you simply are. Up until now, you've been learning how to tune, how to breathe, how to stabilize the frequency of your future self. But there comes a moment when you're no longer just a student of resonance. You become its guardian. This is the graduation, not the end of your journey, but the recognition that you now carry responsibility for the signal you broadcast. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse on a stormy coast. At first, you were the one searching for light. You stumbled through fog, desperate for direction. But now, through practice and embodiment, you've become the one shining. Others who are lost in their own echoes will see your steadiness and find hope. Guardian mode is not about perfection. It's about consistency, being bright enough in your field that others realize a clear frequency is possible. Now feel into this. The tests won't end, but their meaning shifts. Before, each echo felt like a threat. Now, each echo becomes confirmation that your signal is strong enough to draw attention. Old patterns may still knock, but instead of pulling you down, they reveal how firmly you're anchored. You stop fearing turbulence because you've become the pilot who knows exactly what it means. Think of guardian mode as 3 postures. 1. Stability. You hold your field steady, even when others project static. Instead of reacting, you breathe, observe, and stay tuned. Your steadiness becomes a silent lesson. 2. Discernment. You no longer open your dial to every frequency. You recognize which signals nourish and which corrode. You curate without guilt, because you know your clarity is your gift to the collective. 3. Transmission. Without forcing, you naturally radiate coherence. In a conversation, your calm steadies others. In a room, your presence softens tension. This isn't performance, it's resonance overflowing. Graduation also means recognizing ripple effects. When you hold frequency, you're not just serving yourself, you're shifting collective fields. Just as one tuned instrument brings the entire orchestra closer to harmony, your coherence lifts those around you, friends, family, even strangers. Your personal tuning becomes a public service. So instead of asking, when will my life finally change? You begin asking, how can I embody change so deeply that my very presence changes life for others? That question transforms you from seeker to guardian, from student to transmitter. And with that comes a new kind of joy, not the fleeting joy of things working out, but the deeper joy of knowing you've become trustworthy with your own energy. You no longer doubt whether you'll collapse back into static. You know how to reset, recalibrate, return to center. This knowing is freedom. Imagine standing on the other side of your old self. You glance back at the static, the exhaustion, the echoes. They don't vanish from memory, but they no longer define you. They've become the textbooks you studied and passed. What remains now is clarity, peace, a signal steady enough to guide others. Hold this truth. Guardian mode is not about being untouchable. It's about being reliable for yourself, for those you love, and for the collective. You graduate not because challenges end, but because you now know who you are within them. And as you step forward, remember, this frequency is not a fragile flame that needs constant defense. It is a fire integrated into your bones. You are no longer just receiving the broadcast. You have become a transmitter of it.